A very good afternoon to all of you. I was told that there was serious competition between this autonomous operations session and the tasty Noolappam and Keerthi rolls out here. Took us some time to get this going. But jokes apart, I think India is poised to be the industrial AI hub for the world. So in the consumer AI space, you have Bay Area, a lot of hotspots in Europe, and now of course China. But in the industrial AI side, I strongly feel that India is poised to take the lead, primarily for a couple of reasons. One is we need to have a mix of electromechanical skills and the data and AI skills. So that cocktail is extremely important to impact outcomes. So if you look at Bangalore, if you look at Pune, Chennai, Coimbatore, they have a large pool of electromechanical skills who are coming to it. So the domain knowledge is extremely, extremely important. So with that background, I wanted to introduce Keerthi. Keerthi, who is from Renault Nissan, MD of Renault Nissan, and Shrikant, who's the Senior Principal Scientist at ABB. Both of them have seen battle-tested AI applications, a lot of which have failed, many of which have succeeded also. So I think we'll get to hear directly from the School of Hard Knocks, so to speak. So what we'll do is in this session, we'll probably go narrow and deep into a couple of use cases itself. We'll quickly start off with a round of introductions. Why don't you guys quickly introduce your background, very quickly.
Okay, my name is Keerthi Prakash. Basically, I'm having 25 years of experience in automotive field. I started with TAFE, and then I worked with Toyota for 10 years, and last 15 years I'm working with Renault Nissan. And in India, and as well as I worked in UK, and as well as in Japan. For majority of my experience come from Japan, and largely associated with Japanese companies. So it's great to meet you all, because all you are technology people. So we look a bit older people like manufacturing. So I'm really happy to meet you all today.
Yeah, hello everyone. Derick said have some fun in this part of introduction. So I'm a hardcore domain guy. So much domain that I just was recollecting the fun part of it. When it was counseling for my BTech admissions, the guy behind me was looking for computer science and I was the last one. And he was so happy when I took chemical engineering instead of computer science. And I was so puzzled, big deal. So that's me in domain. I have been working on industrial optimization as the primary focus area. Of course, we get to use AI. But for me, being the domain guy, I am usually the one who will take AI guys to task. So in that term, we were called domain guys some point of time, but now we have upgraded in terms of the prompt guys, which is a good thing. So in ABB, I am working as senior principal scientist, multiple verticals over the last 16 years, part of the corporate research center. That's it. Yeah.
So one quick fun fact about Keerthi and Shrikant, okay, which is non-technical. So Keerthi is a skit writer, wanted to be a farmer, still passionate about becoming a farmer after this stint, I guess. Okay. Shrikant is a poet, he plays the mouth organ, he's written his first book, and is also shepherding the industrial AI standards overall, actually. So with that, we'll go to the questions, right? So unlike consumer AI, right, where the reliability threshold is slightly lower, the appetite for risk in industrial applications is very low. So you really have to field test applications a lot before it comes. So it's a slow game. Selling into the industrial sector as opposed to the consumer sector is a slow game. So from your experience, so please share with us some high-level overview of your industrial AI journey, right? And some of the lessons you learned along the way. So Keerthi.
Yeah, let me touch on 2 points. One, my experience in introducing industrial AI in our plant, and as well as what is the difficulty for startups to get into B2B business. The first actually, like in 2017, I was in Japan, 2017-21. There, Nissan was building intelligent factory. I was part of that activity. Intelligent factory is basically like autonomous production and predictive maintenance, quality automation, all those things. So I inspired from there, and after coming back to India, I started to take lead as a MD in Renault Nissan. Then that idea I started to pitch in it on India plant. The first difficulty is actually the mindset of the people. When we start to do because most of the manufacturing industries, we are producing cars or whatever the products for hundreds of years or decades. The people are used to that methods. Changing that methods is not easy. And the second, knowledge availability, means like awareness about what are the tools available, what their things are available in the market, and who are the solution providers. And third comes to like connecting and making that proof of concept and those things. So what I did actually, like we started to launch, we started a innovation everywhere campaign. That means innovation not necessary to be only in the manufacturing. Anything, whatever we do, from morning to evening, whether meetings, whether it's in the logistics, whether it's in the production, how we can do. Then that's actually like we could not get the ideas. Again, we started to get the normal improvement ideas. Then we called seminars, like experts we called from industry, and we had like some seminar type, like knowledge sharing or awareness sharing. Through that, we started to get the ideas. Then the next part, the difficulty what we started to face actually, like once we started to get the ideas, how to develop proof of concept, how to see whether this idea is realistic or not. For that, again, we partnered with Tansam in Tamil Nadu, where the Tamil Nadu government promotes the automation and industrial AI, and they supported us to develop the proof of concepts, and slowly we started to get in. Why I'm explaining actually, like when you are approaching the manufacturing industry, please understand that there actually it's not easy to get in to understand, because the mindset is different. What we value, because morning Rajan was explaining, B2B is not easy. So B2C is always successful business models. Why that is? Because B2C, the customer, the value, customer pays for experience. Suppose, and also customer pays for uniqueness. Diamond is unique, so customer is ready to pay. If diamonds available everywhere, customer will not pay that money. And we come and stay in 5-star hotels because that's an experience. Though the 2-star hotel, 1-star hotel may give same facility, but we don't pay. So that experience customer pays, so that you can monetize that value from customer. But when it comes to B2B, we don't pay for experience. We pay actual cost reduction. Because if we are producing car 10 lakhs, customer will give only 10 lakhs unless we add additional feature. So by changing the operation in the AI or something, if it's not reducing the cost of the car, we don't adopt that. Or by adopting AI, the 10 lakh car, we should be able to sell at 10.5 lakhs or 11 lakhs, so that the value of customer experience value is increased. So always please note that when we are manufacturing, we are discussing with manufacturing partners, so what's the value creation you are going to do, what the value you are going to bring, mainly look into that. Are you creating additional value for customer, or are you reducing the cost so that we are creating the margin? That's how I can explain.
Yeah. My master's thesis, it was around 2000. It was on data reconciliation and gross error detection. That time we used to call it that only. Now maybe under 10 years later, we are talking to a customer when we had AI hype. Almost the requirement was, we want AI solutions. Nobody cared whether it is AI or not. And of course, if the customer wants AI, you sell AI, right? That's how it is. But this was always the confusion as to what makes an AI application an AI application. And again, I'm a domain guy. I'm not into AI. I was never into AI. And that kind of triggered a curiosity as to what are all those factors which are contributing to that. And I happen to also be part of the standardization, and this is the first question that was also put across. While all the software know-how was being used to talk about standards in trustworthiness, ethics, and all those things, data quality and all that, suddenly this question came as, probably this should also be addressed. And thankfully, after a lot of analysis there, a simple word came, and I think now that also became popular, but I think we are talking about 2020, that was context, right? Because context, intelligence is intelligence in the right context, right? While we know that in consumer AI, whenever we were initially trying to hear a pitch or give a pitch, all the examples were from Facebook and Google. We said, okay, we know that, but what are you talking in industrial context? There, something was realized is, in consumer AI, context is quite implicit, because the people who are involved, it's a consumer, I am also a consumer in some way or the other. The guy who is developing, he has some experience, so context is almost known. However, when you come to industry, the context is only known to the people who are doing that job, who has that role. And this is where the standard, the birth of the standard happened. Thankfully, I got opportunity to lead that. That is released in 2024, ISO 5339. And you know what is that about? Before you even look for what is an AI application, the standard in a very systematic way tells you, identify the context. And what is context in very objective term? I think Prasanna mentioned, had some hint towards that. It's who, why, how, what, where, at every stage of the life cycle, and try to figure that out. And I think once you do that, then you talk about AI, right? So in industrial context, what happens is, that's 5339. It has to augment decision making for somebody. That needs to come based on data, the model which is derived from the data, and it should really have that updation characteristics as well, right? So, you know, in my industrial AI journey, while we are trying to really create a niche for industrial AI and against standard and all that, this is one of the biggest learning, to the extent, I said my first book, because I got so serious about context, I started reflecting on context of my own life and context of natural intelligence. And there is where my first book came, which is Contextualizing Spirituality. Because it's not a religious book, it's a very contextual book of how to live. And again, thanks to 5339 for enabling that. Today, Derick told that we should be really giving you some take-home message which you should be able to use. ISO 5339, which we developed from India, that's actually the first thing any application should start with. And you know what is the advantage? I started a project and we are research, we need to work with divisions. To get that clarity on what is to be done, when is to be done, why it's to be done, even there are so many stakeholders involved. I, of course, use GenAI for that use case to put the standard, put that use case in that line. And you know, that makes life so easy. Almost every aspect related to what you should be looking at for that application is equally known by, because this is an international standard, ISO. This is not ABB standard or somebody else's standard, right? That makes almost all the stakeholders to come on the same page. The expectations are set, and that's the first step. Any application, if you explain with that, you also have backing of a standard. And I think this is one of the biggest, I would say, revelation, and for me, in the context of industrial AI, both as an industry expert as well as personally. That's it.
Thank you, Shrikant. I wanted to share a quick experience we had about 10 years back. So we're trying to sell to oil and gas industry, industrial AI apps. And we were very passionate about the features we had built into the product. And we say, hey, look at the shiny new toys we have. Moment for us. And he went on to clarify. He said, you amplify the intensity of the pain or the problem. That's all you need to do. And this is a magic pill which will solve for it. So based on that insight, I want to talk a little bit about peel at the onion on the problem spaces, right? Where you, instead of talking about AI, I want to talk about the problem spaces, intensity of the pain, the amount of budget. So broadly, there are two buckets of problem spaces, right? So there is a problem space, but one bucket is budgeted problem spaces. The other is what I call orphaned problem spaces, okay. We made initially the mistake of saying, hey, this is a nice problem to solve, but it was an orphan problem, right? And you go and hit a wall with that. So can you give us your perspective on what are some of the teething problems which keeps operations people awake at night, which are budgeted for?
Yeah, operation is very simple, right? So one, which is supply disturbance, what we get. And the second, which we get the breakdowns, machine breakdowns. And third, quality. These are the largely three areas which we get problems. And if I say that any, like, of course, the safety is the basics, which you will learn. So there actually, like the quality, maintenance, or in supply, what type of things which we are looking, it will be more interesting to say rather than the problems. Today, like over the time, predictive maintenance, all these things are coming up. Okay, fine, good predictive maintenance, which like it's a next step from digitalization by adding the AI, which can have a more accurate prediction. But more than prediction, actually, we need to look prescriptive. What I mean prescriptive is actually like one of my friend was giving one example, like the way rural areas in small health clinics, only nurses are available, so they don't know how to diagnose. So for that is an AI tool which, if they enter the patient's details, so it's throw up what type of next test or next questions you need to ask and what type of diagnosis you need to do or like that. So what if we get same thing for our machinery? It's not only just predicting, giving prescription also what we have to do. Same way in quality also, like we focus mostly on inspection. Okay, it's automation. So human operation is replaced by machine. But what more we can add from AI is actually like prescriptive. Like it's once the defect is created, that means it has to be repaired. It's a cost. So how we can stop before getting into the defect itself, the creating defect itself. So that's the area which we look for solutions. In logistics, again, of course, end-to-end, people talk about end-to-end logistics and all, but more than end-to-end, of course, that solutions are largely available now, lot of platforms are there. How to improve the efficiency of logistics? If a truck is traveling from point A to point B, the per kilometer cost is almost same, whatever the load you do, whether 80% of truck or 30% of truck, 100%. How to ensure that 100% load, and what type of solutions which we can provide to ensure that 100% loading. So this is what I can say, these are the areas which we look for solutions from AI.
Thank you, Keerthi.
ABB has two hats here to wear. One is from an OEM perspective like motor, and second from automation. One thing, motor, of course, everybody knows the condition monitoring diagnostics that we know we do, we collaborate. But one thing we have problem about is if there is any problem even downstream, let's say pump, drive and all, the blame comes on motor. And this is where we really need to look for everything in totality, and that's something very relevant. Second, also on the, of course you sell the motor, but then you want to sell more of spares. There also the entire predictive capabilities of when we will need that, how to coordinate the supply chain with, let's say, third parties and all that. So that logistics. So essentially, anyways, from that perspective, we know condition monitoring and logistics, these are the problems where there is money, right, even for solution providers. From automation perspective, I think I will more or less probably represent startups here, because the first problem is the data. Second problem is quality data. And third problem is whom to talk when we are talking to customers, right? In fact, when I mentioned you about the standard, it really helps you to pinpoint and fix accountability and fix organization on day one. And this is where I really see a lot of value. Again, take home message from the startup perspective, right? There is a lot of scope of collaboration here because this is icing on the cake. In automation, our main system is DCS. In OEM, we want to really sell motor and not bothered about this can be done. But we need a really perspective where there is more of a compatibility. I'll talk more about it. Often we struggle with some issues which don't result into that conducive engagement, and maybe that would be some message to discuss. But those are the areas that keeps us awake, I would say.
So thank you, Shrikant. So basically we have 3 buckets of use cases. One is asset and reliability oriented. Second is quality and value chain optimization. And the third is health, safety, and emissions. So those are the broad buckets into which budget pools are going into. Now, your expertise is in the asset reliability and OEM space, and you talked about 2 important points. One is collaboration and scalability, right? Yeah. Two important themes. Scalability in the sense that how do you, most of them, the graveyard of POCs, a lot of POCs, but nothing scales, right? Yeah. So do you have any insights for the startups on how do you move from POC to true scale?
Yes. I'll start with an example. There was a startup which was presenting some condition monitoring functionality to us. Almost 55 minutes of presentation. For close to 45 minutes, they were talking about the platform, how do they integrate, how do they couple, all those things. And last 5 minutes they left for really talking about the condition monitoring and all that. Now, there is a catch there. Every OEM there, when the AI hype happened, nobody stayed quiet. Everybody wanted to invest in a AI. And when we went out there, we realized AI is later first get the data. So almost everybody went to a platform. What we realized is, platform, even for startups, there is, of course, I would call it as a non-core. It's enabling, but that's not the core. Your core is what sits on top of the platform and gives value to the customer. We all know during initial phase that is required because without that you can't get in. But then we realized in the later phases, that should not be the one which is your core or strength. Because we were, let's say we want to collaborate with 2-3 startups in 3 different areas in the value chain. Everybody had their platform. And we were actually competing in terms of the platform and not even talking about the value. So, again, I'm saying in the context, as I said, when during the initial phases, it makes sense to have investment on platform and focus on that. But at the same time, to help you scale, again, I will tell in the context of automation industry, anything you do in process industry is an advanced automation application. It's going to sit on something. There are players who know the game, like ABB for last so many years, we know what happens there. The brick and mortar part of it, the efforts that go into that, the basic DCS, which is, let's say, $2-3 million investment. On top of that, some $K investment happens in terms of advanced application. So I think when you are planning on day one, it makes a lot of sense to invest on platform. But I think when you chalk out your strategy for scale up, I think these are things to keep in mind. Other thing, even if there is a corporate or big corporate like ABB, when it is trying to collaborate with you, it is also trying to make some benefits out of that, not just in terms of serving existing customers, but there are always targets for expanding for the guys here. So one thing in terms of who part of the context, you do start with talking to R&D guys, but eventually you target the P&L guys, because continuously being with R&D guys will not bring you anything. That's because even my job was to really lead you to the P&L guys. So I think that makes a lot of sense. That's the context. Here, if you are focusing in the later part of the roadmap, first of all, try to have that collaborator in the picture, which will help you scale up. And keep scouting for which areas he is not good at. So let's say ABB and Siemens, we compete. Maybe we are in certain sectors, they are in certain sectors. You try to help us in those sectors where you think that we are not. Then you will click when you talk, right? So this is what I'm saying. Find areas where you don't compete with your collaborators on the non-core because it's not worth it. It doesn't work. Keep that sight from day one. You may plan differently for first couple of years when you really want to establish, but then give that much importance only for those non-core areas till that point of time. Keep looking for the collaborator right from day one and keep him on the radar. Try to find his pain areas and focus your core on those, because this is where things click. And again, interacting with lots of startups, AI hype, all that. And in some cases what happens, even in corporates, when investment is to be done on certain aspect of AI, which is done everywhere, you don't go back next year and say that, oh, now it's not worth it. No, you have to justify, right? And that is also a very practical, it's an inertia. We are talking in the morning, right? So I think these are the things to keep in mind, because at least in industrial application, automation provider or the EPC, they have a major role. OEMs, they have a major role to help you scale up, because they have almost everything what it takes to do that. But I think it is important to keep note of these subtle, non-intuitive things to really scale up, because this is where you sell.
Thank you. So the second bucket of use cases which have a lot of budgets allocated to it is quality. Right? You talked about quality. I remember some time back, almost 7 years back, we were trying to sell to a catalyst manufacturing unit. We didn't understand catalyst manufacturing operations, and they were trying to reduce the reject rates in a catalyst manufacturing. And we didn't quite understand what you were saying, because a lot of technological terms he was throwing into it, and we didn't understand the domain a little bit. But he understood that we didn't understand, and he radically simplified for this. Have you watched your mother cook in the kitchen, he asked. Okay. I'm wondering, what kind of question is this? He said, have you watched? What does she do? So he said, okay, when they're making a new recipe, which they're not used to, so they will pour oil, they'll heat it, they'll put water. So a lot of parameters they control. The ingredients they control, the amount of heat they control, the duration they control. And at intermediate points in time, they take a taste of it and taste it. Is there too much salt, less salt? He said, that's exactly what we do in catalyst operations. Okay? So we need to take a dipstick of the operations as the chemical is getting cooked. And based on what the lab tests tell you, you have to recalibrate the operations in real time. So it made it very vivid for us. So from a quality perspective, wanted to go a little deeper into quality use cases. What has been your understanding of some of the high-value use cases within discrete manufacturing and quality?
Yeah. Basically, I look quality like, as you just mentioned, like testing how mother cooks, like how she tastes. Same thing in manufacturing operations also, we are having checking gates. Like it's done manually or by machine. That's there for many years or decades. So through AI, some examples which I can give actually, like when we started implementing AI solutions at our plant, the biggest hurdle was actually, economically make it sense or not. That means whether, like if I am investing some 10 million, how many operators I can reduce from the inspection? If I am not able to reduce operators, then no use, or if it is not, return on investment is not there, we can't implement. So then we started to see other area also, like where human or operator cannot detect. I'll give one example. Like in single line, we produce 5 different models, and our cars are exported to more than 65 countries. Each car will have a variants, and each country will have a regulation. That means each model will have a 100 or 120, we call it as a end item code, okay, end items. So put together in a line, we produce almost 1,000 type of cars in same line, same operator. So how AI can help to prevent outflow of non or wrong specs or wrong spec parts or something like that. So when we started to implement some thinking of solutions like eyes resolution cameras with all big program and everything, it is not working out. To end of the line, we used simple web camera, a little better resolution, and with AI, we programmed that actually like we run for a 1 month, AI does self-learning. Finally, over the 1 month, the accuracy level has started from 10% and slowly moved towards 100%. Now, today we implemented that solution with the frugal way that every car passes through that booth. There are 12 cameras which takes the picture and compare and study and validate whether this car is correct spec or not. This is the one simple example I can give. And the second use concern issue or the AI implemented case I can give you is in engine assembly. I'm sure you're not, all are not from manufacturing background. But in manufacturing, there are sequences. Suppose engine cover or like a cylinder block assembly, there is a sequence for bolt assembly. You can't assemble an engine in a different sequence because the leakage problem will come, durability problems will come. The sequence is very important. How to ensure that operator follow the same sequence of tightening bolts? For that, again, AI camera, simple camera, which focus on the tool movement, and it predicts any wrong sequence. If whenever wrong sequence, it's switch off that the tightening tool. So that prevents the wrong sequence. So such type of many ideas which we implemented. So again, I come back to the one basic point. So either we have to see where human cannot do that AI can do, that's the value addition. Or if you are replacing human, then you'll be lower cost than human cost. Then only it works. So that's how we started to implement at our plan.
Thank you, Keerthi. So we have about 8 minutes. I don't know if we'll have time to go to the next use case, but it's very important to understand. I think we talked about asset reliability, we talked about quality. Safety and emissions, we'll probably take it up later. But at least for the startups out here, in terms of future trends in manufacturing AI, right? What are the top 2 or 3 trends you see in manufacturing AI? It could be edge, it could be vision, multiple areas of AI there. What are the specific technology trends you see which are actually monetizable, right, by your startups?
See, at the topmost level, it still remains in the same bracket. Reliability, condition monitoring, and of course logistics, because there is where the money is. My own experience, right, it's coming actually from this new technology, which is what we call it Gen AI these days. I mentioned earlier about the core areas and non-core areas. One project we recently did, we did it 2 years back on planning and scheduling optimization in a process industry. I have experienced 15 years. We collaborated with the faculty. We took 6, 7, 8 months to get some first prototype. Today the situation is, we developed a framework where you start talking with it, and from a process flow diagram you get the code which works. Okay. Now what is the message there? Because I think in today's world, if you ignore this technology and don't use it in your core and non-core areas, it has going to be a very serious impact on the business. Where I see its use in non-core areas is lot of things there. You are reducing dependency on the experts, right, in those areas, which is anyways not your expertise. In the core area, it is happening faster, but there is where I was earlier again referring to what I said. Diversify, use that template to address multiple use cases, because that's what somebody is looking for. So one thing, you have to make peace with this technology sooner. One problem which I see, and again it's from experience, and wherever I'm talking I get that, I think people are still not getting it. Because I heard a quote somewhere that if you are not jumping on your seat and really panicking, you have not really understood this technology. And again, another important message is don't go for that 99.9. I think 80% and 20% human, I think that already is going to do a lot. So typically for the research, that becomes, and then the way this AI technology is working is you plan, you think that you're doing something, and then as soon as you think that you're done, you see somebody doing it. So this is going to really change a lot for reduce your bottom line by using these technology for your non-core areas, increase your top line by using this technology for your core areas. That would be the message.
2 cents. What are the trends which are monetizable by startups?
Yeah, in manufacturing point of view, like what I look forward, like the industry, how it is evolving, at least after COVID, it's very, very clear that actually these 3 things are very important in manufacturing. 1, resilient, autonomous, and agile. So resilient, like how we can predict the risk in advance, whether it's in supply chain, or it's in the operations, or it's in any of our activities. So there are a lot of opportunities which can be implemented, and many operations in manufacturing uniqueness is actually like all manufacturing operations are more or less same. Maybe the methods used are different, products are different, machines are different, but the way it's produced, supply chain, everything is different. But suppose in supply chain, during COVID time, semiconductors, so we as a automobile OEMs, we realized that semiconductor supply chain, how big it is. We never knew that how semiconductor is manufactured. Always we thought that this is manufactured, like it's a commodity, like okay, ready-made commodity. So it's take almost 6 months, it's travel around the world. Finally, it comes to manufacturing plant. So how can we predict the risks in that whole supply chain in the 6 months running around the world, and how we can be so resilient? Same like autonomous is everywhere, like not only autonomous driving, in manufacturing operations also autonomous area, lot of areas which we are having. Again, when it comes to autonomous, that's the very important, as I told, what the value creation, it's not, especially if you talk about India. And agile, again, it's a lot of opportunities, because now how quickly we can come back and how quickly we can change. So here I can help us to our industry to monetize, we can monetize that area. Most importantly, I think when we talk about manufacturing area, it's my personal opinion. As I told, manufacturing is a common globally, everywhere it's there. A lot of Silicon Valley people, many people are developing many AI, whatever solutions. Maybe it's very difficult to compete with them or finding unique idea. Better for Indian, like India, I think we're having our own problems, whether it's in the logistics, whether it's in the in the supply chain, or in the even maintenance activities. So finding that unique problems, what Indian operations people are facing, and that area, if we can find some solutions which can come from AI, that can be a good area which all startups can look in. Even we are looking into that type of things, how we can change, because we are having some unique problems that we have to accept. Even whether in travel also, we can't travel A to B point in a predicted time. So there are a lot of disturbances. That's, yeah.
Thank you, Keerthi. When you talked about unique problems of Indian operations, I was reminded of a use case which came to us from BHL Trichy. So they do a lot of welding operations, right? And weld is the weakest link in the whole boiler out there, right? And they had 15 years worth of weld defect analysis. They used to do X-ray analysis, and the root cause analysis was written in Tamil, okay, and filed. So they had 15 years worth of RCA notes in Tamil, and the problem statement was, can you put an agent on top of it, because that knowledge is very precious. Right? It's a very Indian thing, natural language, is the best way most of the operators express themselves. And to digitize that tribal knowledge and offer it as a service is a huge opportunity, actually. With that, we have come to the end of this session. We'll have some questions. Have time for Q&A. We can take a few questions.
I think it's working. Oh, it is. Thank you. So, lovely inputs there. Keerthi, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned around cost reduction as being a very, very important metric. But you did not talk about quality improvement. Is that something that also you feel AI can help with, or you think that quality is already perfect?
No, that's what I mentioned. Value creation or value of car value reduction. Like suppose one which is actually like if you are just replacing a operator through AI, then there should be a cost reduction into end. If we are making the car quality better by adopting, that means human operator as a human, you can't control that, but machine can control. So that you are adding value to customer. So either one should be there.
This is a question for Keerthi. Keerthi, you were mentioning about B2C consumer experience part of that. I want to ask. For example, Tesla is a different ball game, right? It's a user experience. Elon Musk has thought in a different way that even people are spending in huge dollars to have an experience of Tesla. So don't you feel that the consumer experience is more important than the business model?
Maybe the context is different what I explained. When we are B2B is like only manufacturing operations if you are looking. I'm not talking about product. Okay. Yes, of course, the product point of view that when we discuss about how we can apply AI in manufacturing operations, if it has to reduce the cost or increase the quality or customer experience. Either if one of the value it's not adding, then it's not viable solution. So Tesla, Elon Musk is the one of the of course he's shown that actually all traditional OEMs is a different way to manufacture the car. So the ideas which he implemented, which many OEMs are copying, of course all traditional OEMs also are doing the things, but he will have a better platform because from that he started. So I think the AI solutions, of course, Elon Musk, Tesla has used extensively, not from the example a double AI, we call double AI. That means in the design stage itself, using generative AI in design stage and using process AI together with Gen AI, that's double AI. So we design the car which to the customer requirement at the same time process friendly, which can be produced at a lower cost. That's the concept which now every OEM or every manufacturing operation they are trying to do.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, my name is Sovid, and I have a very specific question maybe. So many of the car companies differentiated themselves on the basis of how efficient their engine is, how robust their build is, etc. Do you see that going forward, same will be true for AI models as well? For example, how good Toyota's vision model is, or how good, let's say, Mercedes' interactive model is, can it be multilingual, etc. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I think already we passed that stage. So in 1920 or 1930, whoever can manufacture engine, those can become OEMs. That was the technology, okay. And over 1950s and 60s, engine manufacturing was not the major thing. But still, the performance of the car, was breakdown of the car or usage, still it was there. But if you observe last 10 years or 15 years, usually it's rare that car gets breakdown. So we passed that stage. Now customers, that's actually the car performance as a base level. Otherwise, you can't be in the market. Yeah. What customers are looking is actually on top of that, the experience actually. And after, especially these Chinese OEMs, of course, India is not flooded by Chinese OEMs, fortunately. But if you see all over the world, the Chinese OEMs, they're creating that the user experience to the very highest level. It's like experiencing that not only just getting into the car, sitting in the car, what type of information you can get while driving. It's not only just driving experience, it's a location experience. Many things are added into that one. I think this is the one important thing. All car OEMs are trying to adopt how we can enrich the user experience, that is customer experience. I think you are asking same question. I'm not sure you asked the same thing.
My question was based upon this, since this happened, right? So a lot of things got standardized, and but many of the companies do very specifically also. For example, Mercedes might be more reliable than other cars, or Toyota is the most reliable car in the world because they do certain things in a certain manner. Do you see same things happening in case of AI models as well? For example, Tesla's vision model, that works in a certain principle, it has certain accuracy. Do you see Toyota coming up with their own vision model or their own interaction model, right? I mean, multilingual models or whatever we talk about it, so that they get upper hand on top of other car companies. So basically, developing car companies developing their own AI as well.
Yeah, it depends, but if you talk about AI, autonomous driving, all those things, all OEMs are trying that one. It's not the Tesla or not Toyota and some cars companies are implementing stepwise, and some companies are like, suppose Tesla is already fully fledged autonomous car. You can see if we go to Silicon Valley. Suppose Nissan case I can explain, like Nissan is having not ADAS 2, like auto driving, like autopilot we call, that's the highways, it's autonomous drive. That's the first step. Once you come out of highway, it will get automatically disengaged. Only in highways it takes care. It's a first level. And auto parking, auto reverse parking, all those things. I think every automotive companies will try for this AI autonomous driving implementation. That is for sure it's going to happen in the future. But what I foresee personally, actually, future this will become more common platform. Today what's happening, individually all OEMs are developing, its development costs are huge. How we are having like Apple OS or like iOS or the Android, same like maybe the whole program will become a program part like platform, so that anybody can plug and play, or any OEM like Samsung can produce mobiles using Android. So like that situation may come, but it is too early to predict, but my prediction is next over 5 to 10 years, this is going to happen.
Thank you.
I showed time's up, so we'll take the questions offline. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. See you.
Thank you, Derick. Thank you, Shrikant and Keerthi, for those incredible insights. Tanuka, if we could have you on stage to present the token of appreciation.